Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Morning Invest. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. On the show today, the bloodbath over the weekend in crypto as prices plunged with news out of China on new restrictions. Is it all FUD? Where are prices this morning? We will have all of that for you and where you should be putting your money right now. The market's acting like the Wild West. Robert Shiller, very, very smart economist, thinks that everything is acting just out of whack right now. It's absolutely the Wild West. And inflation is cranking. We're going to show you what sectors of the economy right now are experiencing the heat from an inflationary perspective and where you should be putting your money right now. And these are ideas that I'm looking at, making sure that your money is safe, not in US dollars, all of that. And hey, now that we're reopening, you know, I guess we're getting back to normal. Everyone's like, hey, COVID was like last year. We don't even remember it anymore. How do we change the way we tip people? There's a consideration now, like, you know, we were over tipping so much because we wanted restaurants to bounce back. And there's a debate right now. Okay, now do we start to pull back on tipping? Let me know in the chat. What do you think? Should we change the way we tip? Morning Invest starts right now. Top of the old morning to you. I hope everyone's doing well on this Monday morning. I'm Clayton Morris. Welcome into the show. I've got my little iced coffee here. Philip is in this morning in the old control booth, and in for brother David.
Good morning.
How are you, my friend?
I am good. I don't know if my computer sounds are coming through or not. So David was just chatting me also. So yeah. I'm in the control booth and David's behind the control booth, messaging me.
The man behind the man. I hear bong.
Yep,
but it sounds good. It sounds like, you know, like my elevator has arrived here.
We have arrived at Morning Invest.
Good morning, everybody in the chat. Kate is here. Yvonne McCourt, Michelle Brown, Selena Wilder. You did 30% last night for dinner tipping. Wow. Yeah, it's an interesting debate. Belinda Edwards says, Clayton, you look handsome. Thank you. That's what 3 days off will do for you, I guess. 3 days of golf and maybe eating too much. It was a guy's weekend, 10 of us playing golf, and we had a blast. 3 rounds of golf, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I am very sore. Was a little out of practice, but hey, if Phil Mickelson can do it, you know, 50 years old, Phil Mickelson wins the PGA Championship yesterday, like smoking all those young guys. Like he blew them out of the water. 50 years old, oldest player in PGA history to win a championship. 50 years old. So good on old Lefty for winning yesterday. So how's everyone's portfolio doing this morning? Because holy smokes, it was a crazy weekend, and I know like a lot of people. Whoop, did I turn that camera on? I guess not. Stand by. I think I didn't turn a camera on. That's probably what the problem is. Flip this out. Do you play any golf? Me? Yeah.
No, I played golf one time in my life, and that was in 1997.
So it must have been a really good round.
It was, yeah. I think we made it about I don't know 6 or 7 holes before everybody else was, because I wasn't 21 yet. So it's like I was the designated driver, so everybody else was too blazed too like wine drunk to finish. So I think we made it about 7 holes, give or take.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chuy Puerta. Clayton, give me a shout out. He said give me a shootout, but I'll give you a shout out instead. How about that? Steven says taking a beating but not panicking. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like the panic people sold this weekend, you know, and when you sell at the bottom, and we're going to get into the markets here in a minute. You know, we always start the show here a little bit early and just welcome everyone in as these alerts head out. But it was a brutal weekend. That's the thing. People though sell at the bottom like that, or they think it's the bottom because they panic sell. And we're going to show you some data this morning. It just shows how many people actually ended up buying into this weekend. I actually bought in on Friday, and at first I thought, man, what a stupid move. Maybe I didn't make a smart move. And then this morning, as I look at it, I'm like, okay, you did make a good move. So as things started bouncing back, and now I'm above where I was on Friday, which is crazy. So hope people didn't panic sell. Numbers, though, are a little crazy this morning. A little crazy. So, hey, if you're new here, we turn on our members-only chat in just a few minutes here, straight at the top of the hour, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're new, let me know that you're new and just drop in here and say, hello, I'm new. You can subscribe to the channel if you like. I also know like so many of you watch the channel who are not subscribed. This is what I'm seeing in my data. Not subscribed, 48% of you are not subscribed, but you watch the channel. So just go ahead and hit subscribe, right? Just take the pain out of not knowing when we're live, because you can set a little notification so it you know, like Philip's computer sounds. It goes bong and lets you know when we're live, and you get the little alert. We cover the financial news that I think, you know, from a personal finance perspective, that is important for you and your family to navigate this crazy world, not be having your money tied to US dollars right now. Joe D bought a lot of Ethereum over the weekend. That's smart, man. What did you buy it at? Did you buy it at, I think it was like 1,800? Hey, Suzanne Finley is a new subscriber from beautiful Savannah, Georgia. I love Savannah, Georgia. Looking forward to listening. Thank you, Suzanne. Oh, we got a bot in the old... So I see there's a bot in our Facebook group from Morning Invest. We're not gifting any Bitcoin anywhere. So you just got to be careful. Like, we get bots that you know, don't give anyone any Bitcoin addresses or wallets or anything like that. Don't give any WhatsApp messages. So we've got you know, you see these bots pop up from time to time. They're crazy. Like, some of you guys in our YouTube channel will, like, you'll post a really nice comment, and then there'll be like a Morning Invest bot that jumps in from somebody creates a Morning Invest account. They use our logo and they put in, you know, call my WhatsApp number. It's crazy. And they'll put like WhatsApp with 2 commas after every, because we've flagged it. It's crazy.
We had when the Joe Biden video on Bitcoin launched, what was that, like Friday? Within an hour of it going up, I was editing another video, and within an hour of it going up, we had 350 comments, and I was like, "What the heck?" And probably 150 of them were bots. And so I was just like, I just happened to notice. I was like, "All right, I'm going to clean them out," and it's nonstop. I'll go through and clean out like 150 of those bots, and then when I refresh afterwards, there's 30 more.
Jeez, that's crazy. They're, you know, Facebook has got to figure out something. YouTube has to figure out something. They've got to figure out how to stop this stuff. It ruins the chat environment. You know, who's going to want to like chat when you've got, or who's going to want to be a part of that commentary when it's all, someone leaves a nice message, and then right underneath that, it's like a fake Morning Invest account that posts, I get my trading advice from John Small, blah, blah, blah. You know, dial my WhatsApp number.
The weirdest one I've seen so far is there's every now and then there's the one that comes in and doesn't post the WhatsApp stuff. It doesn't push anything, but it'll comment weirdly to things people say, but it looks like Morning Invest, but it'll say like happy birthday to people, and it's just like, it's kind of commenting, but then some of the stuff like doesn't quite fit. Like, maybe English isn't whoever's doing it, like maybe English isn't their first language, so it's like they're not, I don't know. It's weird. That one I don't get. I don't understand what the end goal for that one is.
It reminds me of like you know, like an Asian nail salon, like gorgeous, pretty beauty nail. Like when that's like they type, you know, like
yeah. Yep, that's kind of how it feels.
Like food fresh here. It's like, oh, no, fresh food here. Maybe that's it. Really from. New to the show, Len Carr is from New York, in Newburgh, New York. Good to see you. Dennis, I don't chat in your YouTube at all for that very reason. Well, the thing is, I still see the comments. You know, it's like, but we just have to go through and delete the bots. So I still read all the comments. Like, I sit there and I scroll through and I'm commenting regularly. So feel free to please comment. Just know that if you get a response and it looks like it's from my account and there's like a WhatsApp number and all this kind of garbage, that's not me. That's not me. Good morning. Good morning, Christina Stumbo. We get to chat here, Doc Elo. Good to see you on Twitch. Nice to see you, Doc Elo, over on Twitch. It's that time again. Freddie Frank says, I'm the proud new owner of 69 Dogecoins. Way to go.
Yeah, I think we got chat fixed. I do believe it was user error on my part when I was trying to find that thing. I think I accidentally selected the made for kids. So this was a kid show for the first 8 minutes, and now we're back to a grown up only show.
Good. Yeah. Can you imagine kids are learning how to trade crypto and invest in real estate and understand how these markets.
Well, who was it? Who was it that just released the kids app? Was that who was that you were just talking about?
Instagram. Well, Facebook is trying to do like Instagram for kids or something.
No, the trading app.
Oh, the trading app. Fidelity is trying to.
Fidelity, yep. I couldn't remember who that was.
Yeah, that's good. Get your 13-year-olds trading. They can't even like take out the garbage, and we got to get them trading. That's.
Well, once they get that up and running, then we'll launch a morning invest kids show, like do a morning kids show, like investing with clowns and cartoons and balloons and stuff.
Right. Hey kids, it's Clayton the crypto clown. Do.
I mean, I would watch, honestly.
Do you know what blockchain is? Actually, there's a lot, I learn from kids stuff all the time. So like maybe I'd actually probably learn a few things. Like my son was watching a video on like precipitation and for school. And I was like, oh, so that's where clouds come from, like.
Nice.
Anyway.
My daughter just watches TikToks on YouTube, and that's pretty much all she watches. So there's no real learning.
Isn't it funny? She watches TikTok on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's how you roll. Why can't I not see my chat now? Anyway, I'm just going to have to take your word for it when we got super chats. Any super chats, any questions you have, Philip will read them because I can't, for some reason, see them on this monitor all of a sudden. But all right, let's start the old show and dive into some news today, shall we? Now, Clayton, stop with the beer. Now, this is not beer. Just to be clear, if anybody's new to the show, this is an iced coffee. You hear that? It's an India bold blend over ice. Black, no sugar. Grover is doing okay. His paw is still a little gimme. But when I came home from golf yesterday, he wouldn't leave me alone for just an hour. He just was constantly jumping on me. It's nice to be loved, like when you get home, you're like, wow, you do love me. And it was nice. Everyone in the family ran up and hugged me, which was nice. And Grover scratched my leg. So that's good. That's good. All right. Let's do some news, shall we? So welcome into Morning Invest on this Monday. Hope you're doing well. We've got, it was a bloody weekend. As many of you know, if you look at your portfolio over the weekend, I just don't do it. Don't do it. It was an absolutely crazy experience over the weekend. And I was on the golf course playing with some friends. A friend is moving. And so we were all gathering up for one last couple of rounds of golf. And I was trying to actually get my mind in the game and just enjoy the time with friends. And boy, I just kept seeing some alerts about different prices. I'm like, what is happening? I just kept getting alerts on my watch. So I had to turn them off because it was like, Bitcoin is down another 4%, and then another 4%, and then Ethereum's down another 4%. And I was like, oh my God, please stop. I'm going to take this watch off and throw it into the water hazard, just like my last two balls. It was brutal, and I'm sure many of you were on that roller coaster as well. But of course, the people that ended up getting hurt the most are those that ended up selling at the bottom, and now we've seen almost a full bounce back in the past 24 hours, roaring back. So let's check the markets here. We're going to get into some of this China news as well on regulation. We're going to look at the broader economy on inflation, and we're going to hear from some former Obama administration officials who are, bullish on crypto. So a lot of things happening this morning. Let's take a look at overall markets this morning, and let's take a look at CoinMarketCap to see where we are, because it's been a little crazy. 38,000 though is where Bitcoin sits at this hour. 38,000. That's a 24-hour upswing of 14%. 14%. Ethereum. See, these are all considered strong buys sitting here at the top. And Ethereum bouncing back. And someone in the chat was just saying, boy, they bought Ethereum when it was like 1,800 on Saturday. Incredible buying opportunities. You would have made a ton of money if you bought into these dips. Again, buy the dips, right? Up 27% in 24 hours. For any of you really think that Ethereum was just going to stay at 1,800? Did people really think that Bitcoin was going to stay at 32,000, 33,000? No. And again, a lot of this news coming, of course, around what was going on in China. And we continue to hear this sort of, people, as I even posted the title this morning, people are like, yeah, this is FUD, this is total FUD. denial, fear, and we've seen these patterns over and over and over again out of China. So what's going on? Well, we reported this on Friday, and then we had some more developments on it over the weekend as to what is actually going down in China. Bitcoin prices fall after China calls for crackdown on Bitcoin mining and trading behavior. Fears over Bitcoin mining and trading behavior. Chinese Vice Premier Liu He and the State Council said tighter crypto regulation is needed to protect the financial system. Bitcoin's price on Coinmetrics then slid more than 6% as news of China's statement circulated. The statement released Friday night and said it's necessary to crack down on Bitcoin mining and trading behavior and resolutely prevent the transmission of individual risks to the social field. And then, of course, Bitcoin's price slid more than 8%. It was down about 50% from its peak. Dogecoin, let's look at Dogecoin at this hour as well. 33 cents back up also, bouncing back. But boy, this was a pretty big dive. And I want to remind you, though, when we see these numbers, like here is the chart. I showed this chart before. Just want you to remember that each time we've seen these like 38% dip, what do we see? A huge rise, right? Huge dip, then a huge rise. Huge dip, then a huge rise. And I told you about this last week. And now we went down 40%. And we're already seeing a huge rise today already. So it's always after these dips or after these huge pullbacks, we see these nice big rises. So, I mean, that's where you can make some incredible profits, is to play these, this market, play these pumps and valleys and follow that resistance, watch these moving averages, study these prices, and see where this price action is going and see whether or not you're getting, are bulls coming in? Is there more bears selling? And just watch those numbers. But again, patterns keep repeating themselves over and over and over again. And why should we be shocked by that? And this is, I love this chart that a friend of mine sent me this weekend. It's a little hard to see on this screen, but we don't need to go through every detail. But this is since 2014, China has been, this is news surrounding China is going to ban crypto. Okay. This is since 2014, we keep hearing these garbage stories out of China. These pump and dump garbage stories, these FUD stories. So since 2014, we've been hearing this stuff. And each time we hear it, look what happens. It just keeps getting stronger. So what are we meant to believe this time? Michael Saylor has a theory on this. Here's what he had to say this weekend. A crackdown on Bitcoin miners in China would radically reduce the carbon footprint of Bitcoin mining. It would increase the profitability of all the remaining Bitcoin miners. It would reduce this nagging China FUD that we keep hearing about. It would support progress towards our ESG goals, and it would drive up the value of Bitcoin. We should be so lucky. And look at this tweet. China is the Bitcoin bear's biggest friend. As long as Bitcoin can be mined in China, it's, quote, dirty. Once China bans Bitcoin mining there, the anti-ESG case collapses. Bingo. So to Michael Saylor's point, we should be so lucky, right? If all of this craziness happens and the U.S. pledges to get tough on those using Bitcoin illegally in China, doing illegal activity, and China clamps down on so-called dirty mining, using coal-powered plants, etc. Great. Then it only makes it more valuable, doesn't it? I mean, just think logically about this for a second. It's going to cut out some of the cruft. It's going to come out some of the bad guys. It's going to cut out some of the things that Elon Musk had been tweeting about in recent weeks as to why they were moving away from accepting Bitcoin for Tesla purchases, because the environmental concerns. Great. If we know that most of the Bitcoin miners are using sustainable energy, then this eradicates that mainstream media argument over and over and over again. And we keep hearing it from the mainstream media. Over and over again, we keep getting these reports from the mainstream media, and you can tell it's part of this pattern driving these prices. I mean, look what was down over the weekend. Bitcoin down 54%. Ethereum, 57% down. Cardano, down 58%. A lot of people saying that might have been one of the best opportunities ever to jump into Cardano. Stellar down 62%. Solana down 63%. XRP and Ripple down 64%. People are making money on XRP this weekend. Bitcoin, Binance Coin, see down 65%. Polkadot down 65%. I mean, you think any of these things are going to stay where they are? Litecoin down, Uniswap down, all these DeFi projects that are gaining steam right now. This was an unbelievable buying opportunity this weekend. How many of you jumped into Dogecoin down 70%? Up already. So if you bought in over the weekend, you would have made some nice money on Doge already in a short amount of time. And Ethereum hovering around that 2,400 mark today, up nicely. But this whole FUD around China is going to continue. We keep hearing from these Chinese, the People's Republic of China, it's necessary to maintain the smooth operation of the stock, the debt, and foreign exchange markets, severely crack down on illegal securities activities, and severely punish illegal financial activities. But once again, we've been hearing about this since 2014. Nothing has really fundamentally changed on this at all. In fact, it's gotten less dirty and less problematic, more sustainable. Don't make no mistake about it. When you hear this FUD coming out of China, it's all in an effort to, I think, manipulate the price. It's also an opportunity for the Chinese government to more centralize itself around their own digital currency, their own digital yuan. They don't want, to them, I guess it really undermines their authority. But at the end of the day, the Chinese government, of course, wants their own digital currency for tracking. They're a communist country. They are centralized. That's the heart of it. So again, for these prices to dip like that, it's just crazy. Michael Saylor weighed in on this. Here's what he thinks about this volatility and whether or not it's a concern. Bitcoin billionaire Michael Saylor, who, by the way, this weekend, in all of this craziness, MicroStrategy CEO bought more Bitcoin once again.
Obviously, you've been dead right on your predictions in terms of the movement of this cryptocurrency. But you do understand how much risk you're taking on here, don't you?
Well, the risk of holding dollars is you're losing 1% to 2% of your purchasing power per month with 100% certainty. So that's the position we got ourselves into with the monetary policy. I think it's pretty clear. If you've got a decentralized crypto asset network with more than 150 million holders, it's adding 2 million to 3 million people a week, running on tens, if not hundreds of thousands of computers in every jurisdiction in the world. There's something solid there. Bitcoin is an idea that's worked. It might have been risky 10 years ago, but how long do you have to watch something spread like an idea virus before you decide that maybe it's going to be around for a while?
Yeah, certainly it's what makes it attractive to folks such as yourself, the so-called Bitcoin bulls. It's also why it's getting increased scrutiny from governments, though, right? You've got the Fed taking a closer look at digital currency, the Treasury saying it's ratcheting up its scrutiny, especially on the tax front. Are these not risks for your company?
I think they're non-issues because when you have an inflationary environment, money decomposes into currency, which is the medium of exchange, and then store of value, which is the asset, which is the store of value. Bitcoin is an asset. It's regulated as an asset, taxed as an asset, designated as an asset. The government's, said nothing anywhere in the world. In China, in Iran, in Europe, in the U.S., people are holding this as assets. I think that the banks, their view is they don't want you to challenge a currency like the U.S. dollar, and they want you to pay taxes when you transfer your assets. So for the Treasury Department to say, if you transfer more than $10,000 of Bitcoin, and oh, by the way, you got to pay taxes when you transfer or sell it, that's a totally non-event because that's been the status quo with every asset in the country forever. This is just legitimizing Bitcoin as the apex asset, the best
in the world. So Michael Saylor sees that. He says, when we hear these mainstream media stories, it's all like an attempt to scare people. Like China's clamping down on this. You're going to have to pay $10,000 as a transfer. But again, that's what you do with real estate. That's what you already do with assets. it's, as he has said before, it's not a currency, and it shouldn't be treated as currency. And so just even the way she asked that question, like, isn't that a concern to your company? Like, you're invested so much in it. Isn't that, the Fed's going to crack down on this? In what way? They've said nothing about it. In fact, they've solidified their position. And even Fed Chair Jerome Powell in recent weeks has called it a great alternative to gold. I mean, as Natalie, said here on the show when she filled on Friday, she was talking about gold, and we talk about, we don't even know how much gold there is, like in Fort Knox. Where is it? We don't know. We don't know, and we can mine more of it, but we don't know. But with Bitcoin, we know. We know exactly how much there is. And so the reason that this is, I think, maybe scary to some people, maybe scary to mainstream media, I don't know. I don't know if it's because they're billionaires that are run by the power on Wall Street and influence from institutional investors buying stock in Wall Street. And people look at crypto and they look at stock market and they wonder, like, well, what's better here as a store of value? Crypto, or I own paper assets in Tesla. And I have no control. I have nothing then. So again, we talk about these types of, it's what people deem and want to give value to. So in the same way gold is, right? We only deem gold valuable because we as humans have given it value. What about, I don't know. What about, we could choose something else, right? I mean, we choose gold as a store of value because we think it rare, beautiful, it's malleable. We've been using it for thousands of years. And so we're still young in this process, but I think he's absolutely right that we still don't know, as a store of value against real estate, as a store of value against other assets, it's fantastic. And the amount of money that's been made on it in the past few years, nothing can even come close to it. So does he seem worried at all with these crazy price fluctuations over the past few days?
One, and I think it's good for the industry.
Is there a price at which that you would actually realize some of those unrealized gains in Bitcoin for your company?
My view, and I've said it, is Bitcoin is the apex property of the human race. If I had $1 billion and I buy a building in New York City, I can't move it. If I buy $1 billion of Apple stock, it has no tangible value outside of the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. I can't move it. I can't move sovereign debt around. Bitcoin, if you own $1 billion of Bitcoin, it's available to trade in any currency on any exchange anywhere in the world. I can move it to 1 million different counterparties, and I can take personal custody. And that makes it the highest form of property rights. There's no reason that makes it the least likely thing to be impaired. There's no CEO to screw it up, no board of directors to screw it up. The mayor of New York can't tax it. If the governor of California wants to put a property tax on it, Bitcoin can move to Wyoming, but your building can't move
Michael,
to Wyoming.
Just real quick before we end, and even the Chinese, who are once again, and that's why Bitcoin seems to be lower this morning, reiterating that call for a crackdown on Bitcoin mining, even that doesn't impact it?
No, because Bitcoin mining moves to the political jurisdictions that are most welcoming. And Kentucky and Texas would love to have Bitcoin mining. And Iceland and Norway needs Bitcoin mining. So it's an anti-fragile, decentralized system. The miners are going to move to where they can find the cheapest, cleanest energy and the jurisdiction where the political environment is most supportive. And that's what makes it such a brilliant creation.
Does he know what he's talking about or what? I mean, he puts his money where his mouth is, $2.5 billion in Bitcoin, and then doubles down on it even after last week's decline, jumps into it, and it bounces back, makes more money, then goes down this weekend, jumps in, spends more money. And he's been very vocal about these purchases, by the way. This is nothing new that he's holding, and he's not moving from it. And he thinks it's the ultimate store of value. And you just heard him there reiterate it once again. So all of this China FUD over the past few days is all of that. It's just FUD. Anthony Pompliaono, friend of the show, we'll get to his comments in just a second because he weighed in on this. He had a busy weekend having to answer all of this FUD as well. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Truebill. They're saving you guys a lot of money. I love your comments in the comments field where you tell me how much money you've saved because of Truebill. Take control of your money. I mean, how many subscription services are you paying for each month that you didn't even know about? Subscriptions add up, and sometimes we don't even notice the monthly deductions from our bank accounts. I mean, did you sign up for a bunch of subscription services in quarantine, but now that you're heading back into the world, you no longer need those apps and those streaming video services? 80% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about. Are you one of them? You want to save some money? How do you keep track of all those bills and budgets? Well, that's what Truebill does. It's the smartest way to manage your finances. They've got an easy-to-use app. You can review it's easy for me to say. You can review your recurring charges all in one place. You can cancel your subscriptions directly through the app. I know David, who was using this, he saved a boatload of money. He had one that he totally forgot about. I found two that I didn't even know about. People think they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions. They actually spend closer to $200 a month. Truebill has saved its users more than $50 million. The average person saves $720 per year with Truebill. Get started today at truebill.com/invest. Take control of your finances and start saving at truebill.com/invest. That's truebill.com/invest. Our thanks to them. So Anthony Pompliaono, Pomp, who writes the Pomp newsletter, crypto expert, Bitcoin expert, really. He's been a friend of the show, guest on the show, and he had a busy weekend. So he was answering a lot of this Chinese FUD as well. He had this to say: "Can't believe I even have to say this, but the noise is just FUD. The underlying thesis hasn't changed at all. Central banks are printing trillions of dollars. Authoritarian regimes are only becoming more aggressive. Bitcoin is the peaceful solution. I am as bullish as ever." He went on to say, I mean, we talk about some of the on-chain metrics, right? Like the beauty of Bitcoin is you can see who's buying, who's selling. Like we can see it, right? So you just look at the chain metrics and see what's actually happening here. And it's fascinating to see that he said, the on-chain metrics overwhelmingly show that new Bitcoin holders are selling to the people who have been around for years. Weak new hands selling to strong long-term hands. That sums it up right there. In many ways, perhaps people that shouldn't have been trading in the first place, perhaps people that shouldn't have been involved in the market in the first place were buying up, and they were seeing all the craziness, and they were setting alerts. They were constantly checking to see if they made $10, and then they just sold because they just couldn't handle it. And I understand fear. I get it. I grew up with a lot of fear around money, so I understand it, right? But that cryptocurrency, you better expect to have these 30, 40% swings in prices to see massive profits. That's what's going to happen. This is not real estate investing, where that's what I try to teach you here is you're going to make small-term gains, right? And turn those into long-term buy and hold with real estate. To me is like another ultimate store of value. So being able to take these profits and put them in arguably a safer place, less volatile place. For sure it's less volatile, without a doubt. I'm not holding Dogecoin for the rest of my life. I will take profits and I'll reinvest those into long-term buy and hold strategies. That's what we should be thinking about. If you're one of these crypto guys who watches these YouTube channels and you're just like looking to make a few quick bucks here, not realizing that when you sell that stuff, that's a taxable event, that you better report it to the IRS, or it's a felony, not even just a hand slap. Like that is a felony. Like don't pass go, you will go to prison. No joke. So you need to understand how this market works. You need to understand how to take these profits and reinvest them properly and to make sure you're safe. So when we look at some of this data, I think it was interesting to see the state of this report. So Will Clement broke down this entire who's buying and selling right now. Like who's actually selling these coins. Will Clement breaks down the volatility using on-chain metrics to separate the signal from the noise. So you can follow him on Twitter. So here's a couple of key takeaways from this. The exchange flows flipped bearish following the recent FUD. Okay, so we had all this fake news out of China. So then everything went bearish and the market sold off like crazy. Coins that were sold were young, many of which were sold at a loss. Again, so people that sold were young and inexperienced, and they sold it to more experienced people who knew that this was an incredible buying opportunity. And that breaks my heart. That breaks my heart because, as I've said here on the show, like, these dips are going to come. This is when you buy, right? This is when I buy. And this is when you want to hold. And so, like I said, I was out playing golf this weekend with some friends, and it was getting crazy, and I was getting alerts, and I was seeing, oh my God, 4%, another 4% down, another 4% down, Ethereum's down, Bitcoin's down, what's happening? Every altcoin. It was crazy. I said, put away the phone, put it away, just go back to playing golf. Everything will be okay. And I know, even for someone like me who's been a real estate investor for many, many years, I've seen market craziness. I've been through ups and downs, and I see 2008 crash, went through that. Just going to take a deep breath and realize that all of this stuff is going to come back, and it's going to come back even stronger. And there's indications this morning that may be the case, although we're waiting on a few key data points to see if this bearish divergence doesn't play out. So this is a chart from fabulous guy to follow, Crypto Bitcoin Chris. Does a great job. This is his Bitcoin 2-hour chart. It says bulls need a breakout or look to move lower. Bulls must pump this price point right here and add in a higher high to avoid a hidden bearish divergence from being confirmed. So here we're hitting this resistance level once again, where it goes up, or it goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Now we're hitting this up point again. And down here at the bottom is where it's possible hidden bearish divergence. And that's not a good pattern. Because if what you're seeing here is like, wow, these prices are going up, right? Oh, Bitcoin price is like 38,000, it's going up. But then you're looking at the RSI, and you're looking at the MACD. And the price is moving in this direction. They're moving in a bearish direction. And so the only way that this is going to remain at this price is if, bears don't push through. So that's what we're seeing at this hour, is whether or not we got to see, what's going to happen here. So let's check a look at Bitcoin, and look, we're already seeing possible bearish move here. It's down a little bit. Bitcoin over the past hour, it's up around 38, a little over 38,000, dropping a little bit. So we'll keep our eye on these charts throughout the rest of the show and see what's happening with this. Also, we had a number of people. The sudden price drop over the weekend was with a number of driven by a number of liquidations that happened. Sudden price drop was driven by liquidations, and that all that leverage that was there is now wiped out. Coins sold are now in the process of accumulation, and the bull market remains intact, is the bottom line. And if we go down a little further on this chart, I think this was, let me see where this chart is. Yeah, here it is. And here was a play-by-play of the dip. In the time following the recent FUD out of China surrounding Bitcoin, it appears many newer market participants got freaked out and decided to sell. In the 4 days leading up to the dump over the weekend, exchange flows turned bearish, clearly, with exchanges having 59,313 Bitcoin plus in just 4 days. All these exchanges were flush with Bitcoin. And that's when we started to see this slide from 500 or 50,000 down to 40,000. And this is, that's why we're seeing these young people who got wiped out. We saw young people trying to save their hides a little bit. A lot of selling seemed to come from young whales. So young people that have probably, I'm going to say, these 28-year-old, 30-year-old YouTubers who, God bless them, they have never been through the craziness that we went through. 2008, 2009. I will say this is something that Gary Vaynerchuk talks quite a bit about. He's like, he always sees, he's like, look, you guys have not been through it yet. You don't know what it's like to get punched in the nuts and wiped out, these guys. So it's so easy for these young YouTubers who are living high on the hog, and they've got Lamborghinis and they're all out there, living the life. They've never been through the crap, and they don't know. They don't know. They don't know what it's like to lose everything, go through foreclosures, have your credit ruined, all of those things. Think, we're fine. This can't turn around. It could have been fine if you didn't sell. So a lot of these people, you know, the average of coins being sold throughout the dip of AOSOL, the average spent output lifespan or average of coins being sold trending down. In other words, the average age of the coins being sold throughout the dip got younger and younger. So again, cautionary tale here, folks, right? I mean, when you see this kind of craziness, the tendency is like, oh my God, I'm in a fire. Let me just run and jump. And all of these experienced traders said, okay, you're going to sell? I'll buy it cheap. Again, lessons, right? Pomp says, they can't write enough negative articles to stop the inevitable ascension of a decentralized system to replace the centralized, corrupt system. And folks, that's at the heart of this entire thing. That's at the heart of this entire narrative here, is a corrupt, centralized government system. One that we talk about here on the show repeatedly. And it's, you know, it's really sad. It's really sad that, you know, what we see is all of this, people getting raked over the coals because of inflation. The cost of things continue to rise. Like, for instance, we saw this story we featured in the newsletter today, by the way, where meat eaters right now, because of inflation, are the hardest hit as inflation continues to hit the grocery aisles. I mean, how many people, let me know in the chat right now, how many people are being hit hard by inflation? Are you seeing this in gasoline? You're seeing it in meat prices. You're seeing it in lumber. You're seeing it in housing prices. You're seeing it everywhere. So here's this article today. Meat eaters are hit the hardest as inflation sweeps U.S. grocery aisles. So I guess if you're a vegetarian here, you're doing okay. But like, look at this. Red meat in orange, chicken in gray, fruit is in blue, toilet paper is in red, milk, staples of the, you know, American food, prepared foods and seafood, all of them are up. All of them cost more now. How many of you are experiencing that? Let me know in the chat. I'll put it up here on the screen. And I don't know, Philip, where you are. Like, are you seeing this? Do you do the grocery shopping in your house?
I do the grocery shopping, and I mean, I definitely. I think David had made the point like last week also, and I see it here too because he and I live and very close together, and it's I mean, like just the price stays has gone up a little bit for what I get for groceries or what I pay for groceries, but I work more on a budget, so it's like I'm like, you know, I'll spend this much in groceries, but what I get is getting less and less, and it's noticeably so.
Yeah. And I love how they sell you these bottles too. They sell, it's like, ooh, it's the new contour bottle that makes it easier to hold in your hand. You know, it's like, it's shaped like an hourglass. You've seen that, right? Well, the reason it's easier to grip with the new grippable bottle, and it's like, yeah, it's grippable because now you've gotten rid of half of the volume that was inside of this thing.
Exactly. The volume is one of those like those tricky little metrics to pay attention to, because you know it doesn't matter the shape of the bottle, it matters what's inside it.
Right. The new grippable chapstick, you know, it's contoured. So, oh great, now I've got extra grip control. And that's how they market it. Meanwhile, they're putting in 30% less volume. Price of everything is going up, you know. It's true.
Yeah, most of my grocery buying is for an almost 15-year-old girl, and so she eats, you know, like 3 times more than I do, but it's mostly just mac and cheese. So I mean, it doesn't really. So our we don't show up in that graph you had up there. It's mostly just milk and butter to make mac and cheese. That's about all she wants to eat.
Well, the milk prices are going up.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and prepared foods also going up. It says we've got these, as Morning Consult says, we've got these pockets of inflation without having corresponding wage growth. And that's going to put consumers in a really tough spot. I mean, that's what we're seeing right now is we don't have this wage growth. You know, and about a quarter of U.S. shoppers right now say that they're buying fewer items overall during this pandemic, including less meat. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing, right? We're supposed to not eat very much meat, right? We're supposed to eat a little, not very much. But anyway, rising grocery bills.
I was gonna say it depends on who you ask, because if you ask, you know, like with like the lobbyists from the meat industry, they do not appreciate that sentiment at all.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, didn't they take Oprah to court?
Well, that was where like the food pyramid came from. Was all those lobbyists. I think that was back in like the 30s and 40s when the meat industry was lobbying Congress hard to get that food pyramid accepted because they wanted to be sure that meat was on the menu because they don't like the idea of having less.
Yeah, eggs and poultry, all that.
Yeah.
Isn't it said? I mean, I haven't looked at the food pyramid in a while because I am a model of health. But no, I haven't looked at the food pyramid in a while, and I think isn't it said that it really should be flipped upside down, right?
Yeah. They've been saying that. Well, nutritionists have been saying that for quite a while, but nobody listens to them that can make legislation. So we do have a couple super chats kind of related to this. One, the OO Toy Review said his butcher friend says that meat increases next 2 weeks. So I guess he's saying look for a meat increase in the next 2 weeks.
Price wise?
Yeah, I'm guessing. But then I can't throw them up on screen with this setup here, but there it is. Yeah, it should be flipped upside down. Well, I don't know about that much carbs though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, so we really should be eating that much bread and grain. I mean, that's probably like the cereal lobby, like Kellogg's. Yeah. Like Kellogg's probably wrote this thing. Shouldn't like vegetables be at the bottom?
You would think, but you can't have that. There's no big broccoli lobbyists out there, So we have a couple kind of going back about a couple super chats going back about the crypto. So Jeremiah Martin had a $10 super chat, and it says Clayton, so SHIB, the Shiba coin, I guess the SHIB, was on the climb over the weekend when the market was in red. What is your take on this, and what would you say about their rollout of Shiba Swap? Shiba Swap?
Yeah, Shiba Swap. I think with any of these sort of meme coins, right now it's crazy. Okay, so what you're going to see is some of these altcoin pairs on trade on a USDT side, away from Bitcoin. You're going to see these pop, but we need to wait right now. I mean, you need to wait on this, I think. In my opinion, we need to see what's happening with this Bitcoin, what's happening with the Bitcoin and Ethereum, the big boys, because all of these altcoins move with Bitcoin, and you're going to see moves into these other trading pairs like USDT. So just be careful you have Shiba coin. Yeah, there's probably a lot of money to be made in that, but set your stop losses and you got to. And I also say, when people ask me this question, like, I want to ask you, like, how much time do you have to trade? Like, I know that this weekend I was playing golf. I did 0 trades. I did one on Friday going into Saturday on Ethereum. I bought Ethereum really low and made it ran up, thankfully, today, made some good money. But that was it. And then I just enjoyed the weekend. I didn't look at a computer screen really and dive into any trades. How much time do you have to sit there and watch charts and to set stop losses and to scrape your profits as you're going up? Like, if you're working a 9-to-5 job and you just buy in, fine. Then, in my opinion, I would want to make sure that I'm setting stop losses properly, that I have my safety net in place. I've got alerts set that, hey, if I'm at work and I need to step to the bathroom for a minute to like check on a trade or something. But some of these riskier meme coins, just be very, very careful with this volatility that we're seeing right now. You can make a lot of money if you're smart, but I would say take a look at some of these other coins right now that are potentially offering, maybe have even much more of a store of value to them, like Kadi. Let's take a look at Kadi right now. I was looking at this before the show. This is one that we are also seeing a little bit of a move here in the last 4-hour chart. COTI, Kadi. Some nice price action here with some nice volume as well. So again, nowhere near all-time highs, and we saw a nice down. Let's see, I'm on a 4-hour chart, but just check this out. I mean, here's my little paintbrush. And so this is something to chart and pay attention to. Look, drill a little deeper, but then how much time do you have, to sit there and trade and study these charts to see what kind of price action is happening? There's a lot of stuff that was oversold this weekend. There's an indicator. I don't have it in front of me. You can go to an oversold website that shows you coins that are oversold, which could represent excellent buying opportunities. And so, I know people want to get in on some of these meme coins right now, and I bought Shiba coin a few weeks ago, and I made some good money off of it, but I sold out. I stopped out of it once it hit a price, and I'd started rolling back, and I got out of it. So just be very careful on that.
So we had another crypto question from Del Monte Green Beans. He wants to know what the use of cryptocurrency is without electricity. So
Without electricity.
Yeah, so if the power goes out.
I mean, what's the use of anything without electricity?
Yeah, I think if you're talking like a global electricity outage, I mean, we've got bigger things to think about than currency. I mean,
right.
At that point, I'm pretty sure that currency becomes bullets.
Exactly. Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, really, food becomes. I mean, think about it, right? We saw this already happen. I mean, to answer your question about this, right? We already saw this happen in Greece, right? When we had a global financial crisis in Greece, people went to the ATMs and they had electricity and they couldn't get money out. The banks were like, "We don't even have your money."
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, if I had $1 million in my Chase account, it's not like that $1 million is sitting in their vault. And I can just go, okay, yeah, I'll take my $1 million. It's still all digital. The dollar is still digital. I mean, those dollars aren't sitting in the bank.
No, they're not. And again, we used to have what was known as a fractional reserve banking system before the pandemic. And what that means is fractionally, the bank had to only fractionally hold your money. Meaning if I brought $100 to Wells Fargo, all they had to actually hold, and not even at that bank, was $10. They could then lend out 90 of it in the form of mortgages and car loans, etc. Fractional reserve banking. Now, during the pandemic, under Trump, it was eased to zero. So now they don't even have to hold $10 in the bank. They can hold $0 at the bank. That means you put $100 into Wells Fargo, they don't even have your money at that bank. If you ever, as Michael Saylor likes to bring up, try to go and go get your $1 million out of your bank this afternoon. They're going to tell you, what? We don't have that. It's going to take them days to get transfers from other banks and bring it to you. If you wanted that in cash, they don't have it. It's all on paper. It's all digital. And so if we have an electricity outage, I mean, forget it. But the good news is with Bitcoin is like, at least you have a hardware wallet that you control. And that hardware wallet can, if you have sustainable energy, if you have solar power, you actually have access to your hardware wallet. And in that way, you'd be protected.
How many people have a paper ledger of how much they actually have in the bank? It's all digital.
And you don't have a hardware. Yeah, good point. And you don't have a hardware wallet for your money that's in Wells Fargo. Like they haven't given you a 1-for-1 hardware wallet to protect you in case like Wells Fargo ever runs out of electricity and collapses, right? So maybe it is the sustainable solar powered crypto future. We don't need the electric grid, and we don't need central banks. We can handle this ourselves. And maybe wouldn't that be an interesting science fiction novel, right? Like electricity, the grid goes down. It's those people that are sustainable. They've got solar panels. They've got hardware wallets for their crypto. They're able to set up nodes that are run by solar power. And that becomes like the new frontier, like for banking and for monetary policy around the world, like our ability to trade with these nodes of sustainable energy nodes. I love the idea.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really the loss of electricity and all of it. Like the scary scenario that people are thinking is really a strong argument for why decentralization is a good idea in currencies. Because if governments collapse, if they're holding all of that currency and all of that value, and it collapses, then because the electrical grid went out, what are the people going to do? It's just a strong argument for it.
And look at Texas during the winter, right? Texas was never supposed to have these deep freezes, and the entire economy shut down, and all because of a deep freeze and power outages, and people were dying in their homes because they had no electricity, they had nothing, they had no infrastructure, and this is I don't know. I think that you're absolutely right. Like if we have that sort of sustainable future where that's maybe the future of money, that's the future of this. Helping people and And that's, think how empowering that is for people that live in the middle of Africa, who are unbanked, have no access to capital, the ability to get micro loans and be able to run a village in this way with solar power and a decentralized currency that's not tied to any one corrupt government. Like I had friends from Ghana, and my old co-anchor, she was married to a guy from Ghana, and she would say, like, we're getting married. She's like, but we can't send, like, her family can't send us any wedding gifts because through the Guyanese mail, like, it'll just get stolen. Like you take it to like the Guyanese post office, and they basically just, oh, you're sending a dress? No, you're not. We'll keep it. You're going to send a stereo to America to your family for a wedding gift? Nope, we'll keep it. So away from like these corrupt governments, it would be empowering for people. So I think we're just at the beginning of this. I mean, we are.
And I like the idea that because it's not technically, it's like right now people think of Bitcoin as, because I just had a conversation with somebody last weekend about this, like where they're talking about how Bitcoin is just really $1 because that's what you traded into. And I'm like, but it doesn't have to be. If the Canadian dollar suddenly like overtakes the dollar as the world currency, you can just turn Bitcoin into the Canadian dollar. It can, just whatever currency is the top currency. It doesn't have to be tied to any one nation's currency. Right.
And it's a great point, because this weekend we saw stable coins. The amount of stable coins exploded on all of these wallets throughout all of these different exchanges. And USDT Tether did very well during this crazy storm. And that's really a 1-for-1. I mean, talk about stability. Okay. So this weekend we saw ups and downs and craziness, but Tether USDT is like a 1-for-1 dollar crypto, right? So when I get my money into the system, I'm buying USDT to start getting, involved in trades. And you can do other stable coins as well, GUSD, et cetera. But those did very well this weekend. So that should show you again, like during this like kind of volatility play, what's going on with some of this FUD out of China. Like, well, some of these stable coins did really well. Elon Musk even tweeting this weekend about it when he was asked about this volatility. Yo, Elon, what do you think about the peeps who are angry at you because of crypto? Love that randomness, but as if he had anything to do with this weekend, by the way. Anyway, Elon tweets back, the true battle is between fiat and crypto. On balance, I support the latter. Yeah, that is the future. I mean, again, what Michael Saylor was saying, a crackdown on miners in China would radically reduce carbon footprint of mining, increase profitability of all the remaining Bitcoin miners, reduce the nagging China FUD, support progress towards our ECG goals, drive up the value of Bitcoin. We should all be so lucky. Central banks, here's Pomp, are printing trillions of dollars. Authoritarian regimes are only becoming more aggressive. Bitcoin is the peaceful solution. I'm bullish as ever. So here's Bitcoin back up to 38 since we've been here talking about it, maybe on this bullish, might be a bearish divergence pattern. It's hanging up. It went up to 38,000. So we just got to hold this line, make sure that it breaks this resistance line for bulls. Otherwise, this could be a little bearish divergence pattern emerging. It's certainly an interesting moment as we watch these, as these markets. One thing I'm upset about. Another story I'm following this weekend was this really troubling story about people getting into the stock market with borrowing money. I mean, using like credit cards or whatever to borrow money to get into the stock market. More investors than ever are borrowing to buy stocks. Here's what this really means for the market. Total margin debt has nearly doubled since March 2000. Margin's new all-time high is neither bullish nor bearish. I'm referring to the total amount that investors have borrowed to purchase stocks, because the effects of margin is to leverage stocks' gains. Its market-wide level is a measure of investor confidence. So basically, look at this, the rising and fall. All of these people who are borrowing to get in, and a lot of young people are doing it too. And that's troubling to me. I don't know. Be very careful. The number of margin calls, people borrowing. many people taking short positions that they really don't, they're not prepared for as well. And that's why I think Robert Shiller might be right. And he says that this is the Wild West. We're going to hear from Robert in just a second. He's a brilliant economist. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Blue Chew. It's been a heck of a year. Personally, everyone's been exhausted. We saw this story this morning about people being just like depressed. They don't feel like themselves. They've been exhausted. You feel like you've aged 12 years over the last 12 months. Well, that's where Blue Chew comes in, especially in the bedroom. It's time to snap out of it. Spring is here. It's time to get sprung with Blue Chew. And what's included? So here's what happens. Blue Chew is a unique online service provider that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. Hey, Father's Day is coming up. You get it's built-in chewable form at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets help men achieve all that they wish in all forms to fight ED. It's an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Sent right to your house. You get a prescription after you're approved by speaking with one of their licensed medical professionals. It's all done online, right? Very, very simple. They're made in the USA. They prepare to ship direct, so it's cheaper than a pharmacy. So if you want some extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And guess what? We have a special deal for our listeners. You can try Blue Chew for free right now. Yeah, that's right. You can try it for free. Use our promo code INVEST at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. They'll give you this for free. BlueChew.com, promo code INVEST to receive your first month free. Very simple, and you can choose your plan after that. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Check out their video. They got a great sense of humor. And go to BlueChew.com. All right, so Robert Shiller spoke out over the weekend about what he thinks is happening right now in the marketplace. You've got volatility in crypto. You've got a housing market that looks, hotter than ever. Lumber prices off the charts. People can't find houses. I have a friend right now who's trying to move, and they can't find anything. It's just ridiculous. And they have to move for work, and they can't find anything. And they're just tirelessly looking. It's crazy. So Robert Shiller thinks right now we are in a Wild West moment. Let's listen to Robert Shiller. See if you agree.
Why are you comparing the current investing environment to the Wild West?
Well, I haven't done that in print. I've been saying that. I think it's, I did write about the Roaring '20s. There are times in history when we have more latitude for our emotions and more social excitement. And it seems like this is in one of those periods. I'm trying to posit here a whole different outlook to economics, but it's not original anywhere. They talk about market sentiment, that sometimes people get excited, and then all sorts of things happen in distant markets.
Yeah, sentiment is strong, especially in the housing market where we saw real home prices in record high territory. How long do you think this can last, especially as the Federal Reserve is sort of debating its timetable around raising interest rates?
Yeah, well, so you are right. It's now just a new record. In real terms, the home prices have never been so high. My data goes back over 100 years, so this is something. Now, we naturally look at the Federal Reserve as a source of stabilization, and we have to thank them for having somewhat fulfilled that role for a long time, over 100 years. But I don't think that the whole thing is explained by central bank policy. There's something about the sociology of markets that's happening. And then there's the question whether they can stabilize it without causing it to crash. That's hard to do.
Interesting. So he really thinks emotion is a huge part of this. He's long believed that in markets. Do you agree with him? There's a lot of, what we saw this weekend with the sell-off on crypto, certainly emotion is tied to this, right? Fear. And there's these fear indexes out there, right? Fear driving this. Shiller says, He's written repeatedly over this, the idea of emotions driving financial decisions. He says mass psychology is playing a big role in this epic stock market rebound. So I guess it raises the question: do you think he's right? Are we in many ways right now trying to sort of will the markets to come back? Like, we're just, you know what? We're just saying COVID's gone. We just want to be open. We just want to see positivity in the markets. We just want to be out buying homes, even though maybe the underlying economic data is not there to support that. We're just sort of like psychologically trying to will this. I mean, I know everyone's got cabin fever. I see airline stocks are up, like those stay-at-home stocks are down, like Peloton stock, Netflix. People just want to get back out there. Flying right now, United Airlines stock, hotel stocks, theme parks, all of that stuff. And since March, since that low that we hit in March 2020, the S&P 500 and the Dow are almost up 90%. And the tech-heavy NASDAQ is up over 100% since then. 100%. I mean, even this morning, I'm looking at the change up in the futures market, 147 points this morning. S&P up nicely, all green. It's all green this morning. And housing starts up as well. So a number of people driving these housing starts. This is interesting. The home price index driving these housing starts. So where we thought we might have a pullback in homes being built, they're starting to skyrocket again here. And we can't keep up with the demand for houses in the United States. We absolutely need homes. Now we cannot build them quickly enough. And we're reopening, I think, and there are those that believe that we shouldn't be reopening as quickly as we are. I mean, we're seeing clampdowns in Canada and other spots. Obviously, we see this Indian variant, which is going crazy. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Where are we reopening too quickly? And now that we're reopening, we're starting to have these debates about like, what are our cultural norms now? We now know that takeout food at businesses will include alcohol, like sort of permanently. This is going to be the new thing, like takeout alcohol. Okay, I'll take 4 beers to go. Like this is now a part of your takeout orders in America going forward, which I'm fine with. Give me some wine, I'll take some wine home. And now also, like, what are we going to tip people? So I want to talk about this. I thought this story was interesting. Wall Street Journal this morning says that the post-COVID-19 rules of tipping. So I think a lot of us, I don't know about you guys, but I know we were over-tipping a lot during the pandemic, right? Because we wanted to support those businesses. We wanted to, the waiters and waitstaff, if they were open or partially open, we would like give them a really nice tip because the restaurant was half full, and we were trying to do our best to support local businesses. But now, according to this piece, this is happening where, for the past year, like Jillian Soraka picks up her usual almond milk cortado. What's a cortado? Do you know what that is? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Some kind of weird, funky drink. Can't people just drink coffee? It's a cortado.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's some kind of like fancy coffee. It's probably just coffee with a different name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. It's like, no, it's a coffee, but it's only half full. And so it gets a fancy name, right?
It's like 10 shots of espresso and a drip of almond milk. There's your cortado.
Cortado. Oh boy. So she buys this in Manhattan, so it's probably $20. Now she says she has a prompt on the point of sale iPad that asks her how much gratuity she wants to add on top of her $6 bill. So that coffee costs her $6. Okay. And then like they flip around the iPad to you and like, okay, here you go. And they flip it around to you and you can like pick your tip and you sign with your finger or whatever, And so she usually says that she would tip $3. $3. She says, sometimes I walk away and I'm probably like, oh, I could have gotten an appetizer at a restaurant for that price. Yeah. $9? $9 for a coffee? She says that many people, herself included, find themselves tipping service workers 30% or more to kind of champion their businesses that have struggled to stay afloat. And tipping on credit cards increased nationwide last summer, like huge amount of tipping has gone up, right? So credit card tips for quick service and full service restaurant delivery orders jumped from below 11% to 15%. But now the question is, like, is this going to start getting scaled back? What do you think? What are you guys tipping these days? What is an appropriate amount? So let's say you go get a coffee. Let's start there. Like, you go get a coffee and the barista is making your coffee and like, are you tipping 30%? Like $6 coffee? Are you popping in $3? I've been making my coffee at home through like this pandemic. I've barely gotten outside to have coffee. But certainly when we've gone to pick up food, we've been giving a very nice tip for pickup and takeout, which traditionally, I guess a lot of people say, well, maybe you don't tip as much on takeout orders. And I remember getting yelled at one time. It's like, no, you want to tip just as much, because think about the preparation that goes into getting all those boxes prepared and you'll take out containers and all of that. Like, in many ways, that's even more of a pain than just delivering it right to your table. I was like, good point. So what do you do?
So
I mean,
I did some exhaustive research, and a cortado is just it's a espresso drink with an equal amount of warm milk to reduce the acidity. So it's kind of like an Americano, but no, I guess that's water. Never mind. My coffee knowledge is I drink it black, absolutely black, and I get it.
That's what I do too.
Home. Yep. But I like throughout before the pandemic, I typically tip, like 30 to 40%, because I figure if I'm going out, that I factor that into the going out experience. During the pandemic, I've tipped. It depends on what I'm getting, but usually 50 to 100% tip for the past year. Yeah,
50 to 100. Yeah, I think that's probably. Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Yeah. So if I go out for because I went out a couple times, because there's one bar that with a friend of mine owns, and they actually did like the social distancing, right, where it was only outdoor seating, it was all spread out, and so I'd go there every now and then, just grab a beer, and have like a $10 bill, and I'm gonna pay tip like $20-30 on it, just because I know the bartenders, so it just
yeah, good on you. Becky Medved says Americano's 50-50 coffee and milk. Yvonne McCourt says 20% is what servers aim to make. Europe has it right. The workers are paid correct and zero tipping. They think the U.S. is crazy for tipping. That is true, except in the tourist areas, where they've gotten sort of used to that. When you go to different, you're in the tourist locations, they'll put like gratuity at the bottom. But when you're like out in the countryside in different places in Europe, like, you do not tip, because the workers earn actually a living wage, make a good wage, and it's a career. I still tip in Europe, I still throw down a few euro, but not, you don't do it, I guess, as much as you would do in America, where they make nothing, and so they have to rely on those tips.
Yeah,
DoorDash.
I was gonna say I waited tables for about 3.5 years in my 20s, and I made $2.30 an hour, and that was up from $2.13 when I started.
Yeah, me too. I think I worked at the Spaghetti Warehouse in Pittsburgh when I was in college, and made no money. Yeah. And I was like making, I think, $2.11 an hour.
Yeah.
And it cost me just that amount to even like drive there. Just there. And it was brutal. Yeah. 20% Asia Laque says, a latte. Stephanie Rossi says, hey, everyone, I have a news alert on a COVID vaccine that I just read this morning. Mandatory studies are showing vaccines are causing inflammation of the human heart. Oh, geez. Dean Thomas says, I never go out anymore. I mean, I love going out. I grew up, to me, that was like it was a highlight for us to go out to dinner. And so I love it. And as my wife attests, I try to go out to dinner as much as I can, and I always want to be generous to the waiters and waitresses, because especially if, and not especially, but like, especially if, in your neighborhood, like, you're going to be going there on a regular basis, so we know our local places here, and we, want to always take care of them, they work very hard.
Yeah, I think it just like for me it has to be. I think of it more as an event rather than just like I don't feel like. I mean, sometimes it's like I don't feel like making dinner, but that's what DoorDash is about, and I still tip for that. But like if I'm going to go out to dinner, it's even like before the lockdown and everything. It's like it's an event. It should be planned ahead. That like okay, I'm gonna get dinner, but I'm also gonna be treating the server extremely well, and I just factor all that into my going out experience.
Right, right. Exactly. That's why you should always be kind to them as well. I don't know.
Because they do have like an elephant like memory. Servers remember everybody. Well, they'll remember both the extremes. Like if you're a good tipper, they'll remember, and if you are a horrible person, they will remember.
That's right, right. But in between, there's if you give an amazing tip, they're like, oh my gosh, and they'll always want to be like your server next time. That's how it was. We always tried to like tip very well so that we were the people that the Morris family's here. We definitely want to take care of them. They're going to take care of us.
Yeah, you definitely want to be on that side of a server's memory.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So we had some super chats and stuff come in. Do you want to hit those now?
Yeah.
Or you got okay. So
good.
Kind of going back to Marcia Moody with $1 super chat, and then another. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. Another $2 just said next move is to protect the bottom 99% by buying. I think that was back when we were talking about the weekend dips. And then we've got Carol Maciel, $2 super chat and a $2 looks like a sticker. Jeremiah Martin, $5 super chat, said thank you, and that was in answer to his the Shiba swap question. Del Monte Green had asked, crypto didn't have a single use this last winter in Texas, but I think we kind of covered that after that.
Yeah.
And then Andy reads, hey, dude, what's your thoughts on sonicboomtoken.org? Their pre-sale launches today and was thinking about getting in. Any advice?
My only advice is if it were me I haven't done my analysis. I've been out of the loop on that coin and that launch, to be honest with you. But any of these launches, they run up real fast and then they settle back down to earth. So, if you're there watching your charts, you're there and you're going to jump into this thing, set stop losses and scrape your gains all the way up till it hits that. I mean, anytime these things launch, look at Shiba coin. I mean, look when that launched just a few weeks ago. Let me see if I can pull that chart up here. But when Shiba ran, let's see here. Let's do Shiba BT. So when Shiba started out, I mean, look at this. It was crazy. So get this going here. Here we go. So Shiba launched. I can get this candle down. Having trouble with my chart today here. Pop it out. I don't know why I'm not able to get this down for some reason. It's because of the volume. Anyway, it launched, right? Boom. And then it comes back down to earth. And that's like, and we only have a few weeks of Shiba to look at here because it's a new coin, right? So, as this thing launches and you're able to buy in early, make sure you're scraping out profits as this thing runs up. Otherwise, you're going to be, you're going to be a part of this, like back down to earth and wonder what you just paid for. So that's, always protect yourself. Set very tight stop losses to make sure you don't get screwed.
All right, we had Tyrell ML. Kevin Paffrath officially running for governor and already being transparent about policies and the corrupt system. You should check it out.
Uh-huh.
Where is that at? Do you know where that's where he's running for governor? I'm not familiar with who he is.
Yeah. Anyway, I have my own thoughts about. Yeah.
Not a problem. All right, yeah. Robert Keeley, $5 super chat. What was the name of the book you mentioned on patterns?
Oh, take a look at this here. It's this book here, Studying Technical Analysis for Dummies. Don't let the name throw you off. It's a really good book, so you can really start understanding patterns. And when you see these patterns, I mean, they just repeat themselves over and over and over again. So, yeah. People are like, yeah, California. It's not.
Oh yeah, so I don't I actually that's how little I had to look up who that was. That's how little YouTube I watch outside of I pretty much just watch this show and I watch people that make things. So let's see. Drew Blood and Slim Daddy 9 both became new members. They're both supporters, or I guess it looks like they went up to supporter. Cody Yeager, $2 super chat. Will you consider building housing in Alaska? Thank you.
Yeah, we would. We look at markets that make sense where there's growth, and if you watch my other YouTube channel where I talk all about real estate investing, we have another YouTube channel specifically focused on real estate investing. It's just youtube.com/MorrisInvest. Let me see if I can pull that up here, where I show you what we look for. Let me see if I can pull it up. This year, our team, we're building about 600 homes. Most of them though in Texas, because it's the most, one of the best areas in the country, one of the most landlord-friendly spaces. Anyway, I can't find my URL that's handy, but here's my website, and we're a full-service rental real estate company for people that want to invest in real estate. And so like, here's our new construction. Let me just show you here. Scroll down on the page. Sorry. This is morrisinvest.com. So like, this is one of our duplexes, like before and after. We're able to, we've been buying in the best school districts. We're in areas where we have Fortune 500 companies moving to the area, where wages are great. We had one of our clients went to visit his property and got to meet his tenants like last week or 2 weeks ago. And the tenants, I think, work in the hospital. I forget. They're really high paying jobs. So, as long as the jobs are there, the crime is low, the demographic data is strong, the property management teams are great. All of those things have to be in play for us to even think about building in those areas, because then we want to have the highest return on investment. We want to be in states that are incredibly landlord friendly, where there's potential for job growth, and you're going to have a consistent return on investment for many, many years to come. So yeah, we're constantly analyzing markets, and Alaska's a little remote for us, but hey, nothing's out of play.
All right, Vartan K, $2 super chat. I tip $0 on DoorDash because one fry is $15 with fees. I don't know. I mean, like, I guess my opinion on that is, though, that's not the driver's fault. I mean, it's like not tipping is not sticking it to DoorDash. Like if you're getting the DoorDash, they're getting their money. It's just the driver that's not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know. I'm torn on those, because I keep hearing from these different restaurant people that are like, don't, like, if you have an opportunity, like when we were in New Jersey, there was a local Indian restaurant that we loved. One of the best Indian restaurants anywhere. If you happen to be in near, what was it? No, not Milburn. Milburn? No. Summit? I forget. Anyway, it was called Begum Palace, Begum, Begum Palace, and so good, so flavorful, delicious. And they asked us, because we would order constantly on DoorDash or Uber Eats or one of them, and they're like, we actually have our own app, and every time you order on that one, we actually lose money. Like, we just don't make the margins. So we started using their own app. They would get the order themselves, and then they would deliver it, or I would go and pick it up all the time. But yeah, so I think some of those apps, like from what I understand, like they really, like, the margins are very small when you use them. So if you really want to support your local restaurant, find out if they have like their own app that allows you to order food through their website, because it saves them a bunch of money, from what I understand. But not too close to it to understand it, though.
All right, so we've got Yare Koog, 179 rupee super chat. There was no comment there. Slim Daddy 9, I don't know if you know this, but there's a racist history to restaurant wages and tipping structure. Those jobs and slave wages were for Black people after Civil War.
I did not know that.
I was completely unaware of that. And then Manny Maldonado, why don't people tip Uber drivers?
They don't?
I do.
I tip
I
Uber
can't,
drivers.
yeah, I can't answer for everybody, but I know I do.
Yeah.
So
I think the idea is that, you know, your money is going sort of like directly to the Uber driver, and the Uber gets like a little cut of that or whatever, right? I don't know what the percentage is. And so anything then on top of that is like, well, I've already tipped him because I've gotten a drive from this person. So should I tip on top of the drive? And I do.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like taxis were one of those traditionally tipped jobs anyway, you know, so it's like it was, I mean, as far back as like, you know, I can only go, you know, to the late 70s because that's when I was born. But I mean, as far as I know, like I've always known that you tip taxi drivers. So
Yeah.
like, why would be Uber be treated any different? I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know.
That's all I got for super chats. Let me double check, make sure I didn't miss any.
Hey, we have a while you're looking at that, I'm going to share people. We have our daily newsletter that you should subscribe to. We publish it every morning at 6:30 Eastern time. So you can read it over your cup of coffee. We cover about 4, 5, 6 stories of the day that I think are important. We try to do it with some humor as well. So just go to morninginvest.com. Here it is. You can read it on your iPhone, your Android phone, your iPad, wherever you can read it. We send an email and you read it in your email first thing in the morning. So just put in your email address and you'll receive a little welcome email from me. So hit me back and say, hey, Clayton, I got it. And then you'll be good to go. You should receive tomorrow mornings on Tuesday morning. We cover the markets. We cover what's going on with stimulus. We cover everything. Keeping our eye on this infrastructure stimulus right now to see whether or not, you know, are they going to go down in value here? It looks like Republicans are offered up a much less for their infrastructure package. And it seems like Democrats are, I don't know, willing to work with them on this. Pete Buttigieg was just on the show on TV this morning, and I caught this, and here's what he had to say about this infrastructure bill. We covered it in the newsletter a little bit.
About whether there's likely to be any bipartisanship when it comes to this. The president himself has said that he would like to find out, at least decide if there's a bipartisanship, has given it a deadline of maybe Memorial Day. So where do you think things stand at this point?
Well, we continue to be hopeful about the bipartisan approach. We've had lots of conversations across the aisle. We've been talking with people in both chambers and put forward a counter proposal on Friday that reduced our original position by about $500 billion, moving closer to where the Republican counteroffer had been. That's with them now. We'll see what they come back with. Obviously, a process like this will have a lot of ups and downs, twists and turns, but what we don't have a lot of is time. We really need to make progress here because, as the president often says, inaction is not an option. Every few days, it seems, we get another headline about some piece of critical infrastructure in this country not doing what it's supposed to do, a reminder of just how urgent it is for us to get back on track and go beyond what we've had in the past if we want the U.S. to actually win the future.
So that was Pete Buttigieg, Transportation Secretary. So Republicans coming in about 1.7 trillion, much about $600 billion less than what Democrats. Again, I don't know why they're even negotiating with them. They're wanting to remove, I mean, even things like lead pipe infrastructure that needs to be removed from our nation's infrastructure. That we're still drinking out of lead pipes. Like, so Republicans might not want that in there. So is it not part of infrastructure? Like I don't get it. I don't get what you can deem infrastructure at this point. To the health and well-being of our citizens in the United States. I mean, we had the story in the newsletter this morning we covered about all these water towers. I don't know if you guys saw this story, if you read the newsletter before the show or not, but all of these water towers, many of them haven't been cleaned in like 50 years. So they've been doing an analysis, and they found that like in these water towers, reserved drinking water, there's like bloated dead snakes, there's like dead birds. Like this is, when you drive by those water towers, like think about that. Like these things haven't been cleaned at all. And they're just, that's our infrastructure in the United States. Like, how much longer can we try to be competitive in the world if we look like this? I mean, it's a disaster. So we'll have more on that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, isn't the point of infrastructure? It is like everything needed to sustain the society, right? Like the society we have. That's what infrastructure is. I mean, that's like kind of the definition of infrastructure. So you can't say like, well, They can't say like, well, water doesn't count. Yeah, it does. You know, like we're
Right.
not. We're not rain fed, so like we got to have some kind of pipes. I mean, it's
Maybe
all
we
all
should
of the-
be. Maybe we
Yeah.
should just all put out buckets in our backyard, since we can't rely on our government to take care of us anymore. You know,
Was it Rick Santorum? I think it was way back that said something about how plants don't seem to have too much trouble like breathing in carbon dioxide. So why should we really worry about global warming? As though like we are photosynthetic. You know, that's how people work now. So yeah, I don't get it. Infrastructure seems to me to be very clearly defined as to what it should be. I think the you could make the argument internet, not necessarily, but that's not true. I mean, internet, come on, it's so integrated, it's so integral to our lives, like we can't live without it, kind of thing. I mean, it's just
yeah. Well, Republicans are. I mean, that was part of what they wanted to remove. So Republicans, that was one of the things that negotiated over the weekend, is to remove rural broadband out of it. So once again, poor people get screwed. Remember all the 12 million kids that couldn't get access to online learning during the pandemic? So you have a generation of kids that are basically held back because they missed a year of schooling.
Yeah, I mean, like what? Where access to the internet includes a drive to McDonald's to use their Wi-Fi. I mean, come on.
Exactly. They have to sit in the parking lot to use their Wi-Fi so you can do schooling.
Yeah.
So Republicans want to scale back the amount of rural as part of the infrastructure. This is infrastructure. I mean, it's modern. It's 2021. It's 2021, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
We use the internet for everything. I mean, frankly, we're using roads less during the pandemic. We need internet more than we need roads at this point. You know, it's like,
yeah.
Dead snakes, mice, toxic sludge. This is all inside of our water towers.
And it's really because they don't really care about that, because it's their belief is that the filtration system will be fine. But I mean, if you're pumping that, basically it's like they over chlorinate the water so that they can send it through the toxic lead pipes and because all of the stuff that's in the lead pipes, that's why they're not the lead pipes, sorry, but the from that tower, from the filtration to the house, there's so much bacteria in there. That's why it has to have the chlorination, so that when it gets to you, it's still got enough of the sanitizer in it to keep the water safe. It's
ridiculous. I mean, when we lived in New Jersey, we got one of those reverse osmosis systems because the drinking water in New Jersey is so bad. And I mean, who knows what it's leading to? Like, Alzheimer's, dementia. I mean, God knows what else is, cancer.
Yeah.
And the drinking water in some of the, in the more less upwardly mobile towns, like East Orange and other, they had all of these huge problems with the drinking water in New Jersey. And it's just awful. I mean, so if you're in school, I mean, how do you know, like the drinking water in the fountain, like at the school, like it's coming right out of that same crappy pipes with lead and chlorine. And the chlorine, if you're in the shower and you're breathing that after it's been super-heated, like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because it was interesting when they were going through this. This was several years back, but because Portland has the, like the Bull Run watershed, they protect their source water, so the water's like super clean the whole trip down, and it's not till the very last bit that they still have to chlorinate it, or to whatever the disinfectant they use, but they have to do that the very last bit just because of the pipes. But there was like a big push to make Portland cover up their, essentially like try to go to a modernized water system, when the modernized water system was less efficient. But anyway,
you've got damaged walls where animals can get in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Look at this. Yeah. So yeah, hey, let's scale this back, Republicans. Just make sure we're lining the pockets of big business on Wall Street. But hey, as long as poor people are still drinking lead water and don't have access to internet, good on you, Republicans. Way to go. Way to go. And and good on you, Democrats, for even bowing to them. Why have you been working with them in the first place? Like, have you not learned anything? Sorry, you had another super chat?
Yeah, we had a couple more come in. Amy Perkins, she worked for both Uber Eats and I'm guessing, DoorDash. So Uber Eats gives the driver 100% of the tip. DoorDash takes a percentage of the tip. Base wage is time plus distance, which equals around $2.50 plus tip.
Oh, interesting. So which is the one that takes money from your tip?
Looks like DoorDash. And then James Strand with a $4 super chat or $3.99, and then Frank DeLeo with a $1.99 super chat. U.S. schools feed kids utter crap. Nobody else does.
Yeah. You're right about that. If you haven't watched, I don't care what you think about Michael Moore, like forget your politics. Just if you could just watch the movie without any politics, you know. He did a great movie a few years ago. David and I were talking about it a couple times called Who Shall We Invade Next? Or Who Should I Invade Next? Or Who Should We Invade Next? I think is what it's called. Actually, I think you can find it. You can find it for free on YouTube, can't you? I think it's.
I don't know.
Who should?
Yeah, it does look like it.
We invade next.
Where to invade next?
Where to invade next? Yes. So basically, he goes around to all these European countries to learn what the USA can gain from other nations. Michael Moore playfully invades them to see what they have to offer. So he goes to France for school lunches, and he's like, "Wait a second." And they take it incredibly seriously. Like, it's not just lunch. It's a class. Like, everything about it. Like, the etiquette, the food production, everything. And so they have a chef in the school, like a very good chef. And Michael Moore holds up his phone and he shows this chef, this French chef, what American kids are eating. And the chef's like, "That is not food." And he starts to cry. The chef is so upset that like American kids eat this crappy food for lunch. He's like, "That is not food. That is not food." And that's my French accent, by the way. He goes to Italy. He goes to the was it the Bugatti factory or where they make the motorcycles?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't think it was it Bugatti or was it? I remember that where you talk about the vacations.
Yeah, and so he's like, they shut down, like they all get like a month vacation. They shut down the factory every day for like 2 hours, so they all go to lunch. And he's like, it's so, the owner, he's like, it's so much more important for the health and wellness of my people than making more money from a motorcycle sale. Like, I'd much rather have them happy and healthy than making more money from a motorcycle sale. Imagine that. Oh man, yeah. Here's the French school thing, lunch school in France, where they actually have like, look at this. They have like fresh food. They all share, like, they've got fresh salad and things like that. Anyway, it's good. You should watch it. Where to invade next. Eye-opening stuff. Well, thank you everyone for joining us on this Monday. We'll continue to keep our eye on the market today, and we'll have a video later this afternoon for you as well. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you're new here, we do this show live every day at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and we have a lot of great people here who tune in every day. So please subscribe to the channel, turn on that little bell notification, and we're finally back. Where is he? Is he in the other room? He is. I heard him barking a few minutes ago. He's resting that paw.
He was tied. I think he was telling you to buy the dip and hold. I'm not quite sure.
He knows how to do it.
He knows.
That's right. Well, thanks, Philip, for filling in. I know David's internet was crazy or something. And I know he has this whole backup system too. He's got like he's got internet and a backup system, and he was getting like 2 megabytes up and down or something ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's ridiculously expensive internet too, and so I'm rocking out my $70 a month Comcast. So
I know, and he was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, you gotta get this backup system." I was like, "Yeah, I will. See how that backup system's working for you." So once they fix that street level issue that we had a few weeks ago, it seems like everything's been fine so far. Yeah,
well, the addition that David lives in is under construction. Like, they're just constantly building new houses, and so it wouldn't surprise me if people clip cables or what, just
right.
It's just kind of. And then we got a last minute super chat. Asia Lakay, how do I join the Signal group? Thanks for the 411.
Oh, we actually have a Telegram group. So if you just go to morninginvest.com/Telegram, I will post in there about different trades that I'm looking at and things that I'm watching in the market. So if you use Telegram on your phone, your Android phone, I love Telegram because you can. So I created a channel on there, and it's just like where I can send quick text messages about different trades that I'm making, things that I'm watching, things that are happening in the market. So I was publishing a few things this weekend while I was out on the golf course. So just morninginvest.com/Telegram is how you can subscribe for free to our Telegram channel if you're interested in learning more about trading and making money. So check that out as well. All right, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Don't freak out when these things end up going down a little bit. That's the market that we're in right now. Just be smart, set your losses, set your stop losses, and make sure you're taking profits when you can. All right, everyone. We'll see you back here a little bit later today, everyone. Bye now.